crashing Willie's garage.
Ha!
Hola,
Rondas.
Me llamo Nick. And Te amo George? No, I didn't do that right already, did I?
No habla Melmac.
Welcome to a special Mexican edition of Willie's Garage. This is we're going to be covering an episode called Border Song about an immigrant who came over the border in this very weird, forgettable almost episode of Alf. George, yes?
Tonally bizarre.
Tonally very strange. I'm excited to talk about this one because it's very interesting. First of all, you may notice over my left shoulder there's a neon elf sign. It was my birthday. I got a nice Visa gift card and used it to buy that. So no one would purchase it for me, and when I showed it to my girlfriend, she just kind of walked out of the room. So that's kind of where I'm at. But I like it.
It's the sort of thing that when it's not there, people tend to notice.
I think you're right. Yeah.
I believe we had filmed things in a different order, and then if you look in the comments section of the previous Willie's Garage, people hypothesized that your girlfriend had perhaps in the dead of night tossed it from your building.
That's a good theory, but no, we usually tape 3 like Willie's Garages at a time and then spread them out. So the continuity was off. Good eye. Very eagle-eyed Rhonda spotted that. We shot that, I don't know, 3 weeks ago. And but this one we're shooting on time. And I'm saying that because there are some updates from the last episode with, we had Chip Chantry on, comedian Chip Chantry, and we talked about the 1-hour clip show from Alf, where he takes a hairdryer. No, what does he take into the tub? I forgot.
It's like one of those hand mixer. Yeah.
Yeah, an electric mixer. He takes it into the bathtub, and then very weirdly, he's not all fried and smoky. Like we were like, why wouldn't they make the electrocution sounds? Well, numerous people pointed out. Eagle-eyed Ron has once again pointed out that he was intended to get electrocuted, but there were complaints to NBC that kids might try to copycat that. So they re-edited it. He's not as fried. And in the version we saw, we don't even hear the electric thing. We don't see the skeleton. And that's why it seems so weird.
Now, did you attempt this at all by chance when you were watching it as a kid? Did you?
Absolutely. And I turned out fine. So,
well, I mean, it's not crazy. In 1985, I went to see with my good friend, who I'm still friends with, we went to see Back to the Future. And when we came back, we took his slot cars and we attempted to reenact. There's a scene where Doc shows Marty on the scale model what it would look like for the car to,
yes.
And I believe the car burst into flames, the little toy car. We attempted to do that with his slot cars, and I'm not sure. In my memory, we like shorted out something. But the point is that kids do duplicate what they see on screen. So like kids right now are probably going to start their own Alf show if they're watching this.
You're right. It's monkey see, monkey do. Like when people saw the program and they laid down in the middle of the road. Or
yes,
I do remember seeing Teen Wolf and thinking it did look kind of fun to surf on top of a van. So I do get it. But that having been said, hopefully no children are watching because the original version was on YouTube.
Okay.
So this is the version as it originally aired from the Alf clip show we showed last week.
Why was he carrying my mixer into the bathroom?
He said something about a whirling hot tub. Oh, you don't really think he'd put an electric...
No. No, even Alf knows better than to take an electric appliance into the bathtub.
There's the electrocution sounds.
Oh, are you all right?
Smoking.
Alf, there must be some mistake. I'm Wayne Schlegel, Michigan Life and Casualty.
So I don't know if they reshot the whole thing because he's just has slightly mussed fur in the version we saw. That one is just wild.
I wonder if they shot it. I wonder when they shot it. I wonder if this was a sort of thing where they did multiple takes at the time just to get, because it would be a pain in the ass to try to get continuity. I don't know if they can.
Well, and it took a full week. Well, we certainly don't. It took a full week for them to shoot an Alf episode, so they'd have to reshoot the whole thing. My guess is they just had him they just reshot that scene.
Maybe
That's my
CGI, early CGI, like
Could have been.
young Sherlock Holmes, one of those very early uses of CGI.
You're right.
Um,
Also, Reese from Australia sent a promo for that episode of Elf we watched last week, and I always like watching how they advertised the shows. So here's how that historic episode was promoted.
Friday nights, Alf's lost his memory,
I'm Wayne Schlegel, Michigan Life and Casualty.
and the family help him to get it back.
Interesting concept.
On a 1-hour Alf special,
The cat won't fit in the toaster.
relive the Fuzzballs' magical moments on Earth.
Australian.
What outrageous hour of Alf?
No problem.
Friday, 7:30
Oh my God, I'm naked.
on 7.
1 hour special is how they build a clip show, which is mostly repackaged scenes from earlier episodes.
and we loved every minute of
We
it.
did. And you know what? People pointed out, like, I think at the end of last week, I'm like, hey, we're on episode, 17 or 18. We're on episode, I believe 18 and, or no, 17 of the show. Our numbering got screwed up because we had an episode that was an interview with the creator of Elf Tales and the writer of, on season 4 of Elf. And so anyway, but the point is, last week, what is the point? I don't know what I'm talking about. Let's get into a Melmac recap.
Recap. Melmac.
Border Song. This aired February 16th, 1987, so very close to the date we're on now. And is this episode problematic? I pose that to you, George.
I'll say this: I was really expecting. I thought like there's gonna be a lot of things that are really well, just flat out racist in retrospect. And I guess I was surprised that it wasn't. Or
Me too. I think that was my reaction too, because the log line is that Alf befriends a Mexican immigrant and helps him get back home, and I was kind of like, oh boy, what is 1987's view of immigration? And yeah.
Well, it was actually very very different from like I think it was not as hot button an issue. There wasn't as I mean,
Yeah.
in this sense, I didn't think they like fleshed out the character almost at all. So
Right.
so maybe that's why they didn't give him any traits. So
No.
luckily they didn't give any racist tropes either because
Yeah,
there was nothing
well,
to do.
There was
Give.
one in particular that I thought was odd, but for the most part, it sort of, is fairly PC. It's okay. And it starts off weird because, well, Alf is finding a love of gardening. They've given him a new hobby. He's gardening. It's not going well in the Tanner backyard. But we get a rare glimpse of Willie at his job. He's a social service worker, and at the beginning we see him. He's trying to find a kid, Louise Mancia. He's trying to find his dad because the kid has turned up, and he's trying to find his dad in San Felipe, Mexico. And he can't find him. His coworkers and his boss are no help. So he actually, instead of putting the kid on the bus back to San Felipe, he brings him back to the Tanner household. And let's take a look at how that goes.
Well, something tells me that nobody knows he's here, do they?
Not exactly.
You stole a kid?
I borrowed one. Just for 24 hours, just until I can find his dad.
Honey, what happened?
I honestly don't know, Kate. I was at the last stoplight right before the bus station, and instead of turning right, I turned left onto 3rd, and I sort of got on the freeway, and then I sort of came home.
I thought you couldn't turn left on 3rd. It's one way.
Well, not after 4 o'clock. Alf, why? What difference does it make to you?
What difference does it make? Ha! I'm not driving with you anymore.
Do you think that's beer, George?
Yeah.
Brown bottle.
Yeah.
I'll get the rest of that later.
I'd like to imagine that was an accident because that was another hand. Like both of those hands weren't
spill.
Paul Fusco. Yeah.
Right.
I'd like to imagine like they were just like improvising, but
It's possible, but it's pretty blatant, the spill there, having rewatched it. And Paul Fusco, I believe, was the right hand. He was like this. He was always the right hand. I believe we figured that out. But anyway, Yeah, Willie has a skinny tie, and he stays overnight with the Tanners. Alf is gardening, as I mentioned. The only thing that's growing well is zucchini. That's everywhere, but everything else is barely recognizable as food. And as Luis is running away from the Tanner household for some reason, he looks at the yard and realizes that the garden is not very good and starts gardening, which I thought, the one Mexican person in here as a guest star, and his superpower is that he's a great gardener.
Yeah, that's pretty ridiculous. I think the reason why I at that moment I thought Alf's going to meet him and they're going to have some very disturbing dialogue about, hey, we're both aliens or something. I was
Yeah.
mid cringe. So when he picked up the trowel, that was the least of my concerns.
Okay,
But you're completely right. It was
Yeah, I mean the one brown character, and he loves gardening. That's like his thing. But you're right. It could have been worse.
No, but you're right.
Well, thank you. No, you're right.
No.
Let's talk about when Alf does see. Alf has been out there like night gardening, I guess, and he sees Luis there with the trowel and thinks he's an intruder.
Die, scurvy dog!
Dios mío,
What are you doing here?
tú eres un diablo. Esta casa es tu embrujada, como la Amityville Horror.
It's the Amityville Horror House. You're the devil, something like that.
Sure.
Is that what you heard there? Amityville Horror.
Yeah, I didn't hear it the first time, but this time I heard it.
Okay.
Diablo.
Diablo, the devil.
Esta casa es tu embrujada, como la Amityville Horror.
Keep it down, will ya?
Por favor, no me lastimes.
Bess. Amigos.
¿Tú hablas español?
Yo soy Alf. Yo vengo del espacio.
Espacio.
Melmac. Kaboom! Never mind.
The weird thing is like the way he's speaking Spanish is kind of the way I spoke Spanish in high school in my class. So I don't know if that actor who's good, who's just fine, I don't know if Spanish was his first language either. I think he might have been speaking it phonetically like Paul Fusco was as Alf.
Yeah, I was thinking about how actors who were cast to play pretty much anybody speaking Spanish, it did not reflect the diversity of the people on Earth who speak Spanish.
You're right.
You know, like there's a great I don't know. The same characteristics seem to be used by the casting agents over and over again. So
working class flannel, like it's never like a Spanish aristocrat that is cast.
Right.
Yeah. But whatever. He's an immigrant son, so he's trying to get back home. So Alf and Luis meet and they talk. And for some reason, Willie's boss at the social services is like, I'm going to investigate you if we don't get this kid back home. He's got to get back on the bus. And he's just like a real hard ass about this lost kid for some reason. But Willie, through his other coworker, is able to track down the father. And it turns out he lives in Riverside, California. And he got a job here. Luis speaks fluent English. He lives here. And he's trying to get the bus back down to San Felipe because all his friends are still down in Mexico. And so that's the reveal. And then Alf, I guess, relates. Here's the part that you kind of indicated that you were thinking it might go, but doesn't quite go as far as you thought, where they're relating over both being aliens.
Louise, your father's here.
Well, you coming over next Sunday or not? You can help me harvest the jicama.
I hate jicama.
So don't eat.
I like hamburgers.
Then bring the mustard.
No problem.
And don't forget our little secret. I don't exist.
Believe me.
What does he say there?
who'd believe me?
Who'd believe me? Okay. I couldn't understand that.
Believe me. Thanks.
Hasta la vista.
What do you think of Elf's overalls there?
Very erotic.
the gardening, the gardening elf there, yeah. Hasta la vista. And I guess Luis gets used to living in Riverside. He said, come back and see me again. I don't think in the series, now I'm doing this rewatch for the first time in a while. So I don't think he comes back. I think that was just a sitcom. Please come back and see me another time.
Right. I think they were waiting to see, like, with the ratings, just like Willie's coworker. I don't know if she comes back. Although Willie's boss, I think this was the first time I remember them mentioning that they were in L.A. County. Is that because
I think in the first episode they do mention that they're
okay.
Well, maybe not LA County, but they mentioned that they're in like Southern California, I think, in the first episode. But yeah, they're in the LA area. I don't know if we see the coworker again, but I like the interplay between her and Willie.
Did you recognize the boss?
Yes, but what have I seen him in?
Terminator 2. I believe he was the therapist for Linda Hamilton's character.
Okay. Yeah. He's in a ton of movies. I felt like he was also maybe Bill or Ted's dad in Bill and Ted's Adventure.
That sounds about right.
Maybe not, but you know the guy when you see him. One of these great character actors from the 80s. But yeah, I don't know but I almost think it's like the Family Matters situation where people realize anytime Alf isn't on screen, nobody cares.
Right.
So like, let's eliminate Willie's private life, his work life, anything beyond Alf being in the Tanner house. But some takeaways from this episode for me, I noticed that Alf implies he has a line where Willie's calling and explaining that he's going to be late because he's trying to get figure out a home for this kid, and Kate's like, yeah, okay, we'll see you when you get home. And he's like, what are you getting a little action on the side, Willie? And he just won't let it go that Willie is having an affair, which is a little dark, a little like right in front of his wife.
Yeah, again, tonally bizarre. There's always a point in these episodes where I feel like, well, as a non-fan, I can like, all right, I know it's sitcoms and I know the track it's about to take, and I can just work on Excel in another window or something. But then there's like at least 2 or 3 things where I see why it stood out from other sitcoms of the time.
Yeah, it definitely did. Just because there's a little bit off, it's a little edgier, a little weirder. At one point, also, Alf is talking about how he needs manure, and he needs it to help grow his plants or his vegetables better. And he says it's never too late for manure. And then Kate says that would make a great bumper sticker. Now, I think that was a missed opportunity. Alf was merchandised to hell. Why not make those bumper stickers?
Yeah, they should have had 1 item for each episode for you. They should have had 10 items.
I agree. Or at least put it on one of the Alf trading cards. Or, I don't know if there's any graphic designers out there, but if you want to make it's never too late for manure bumper sticker, you can print them out. We can put them on our store, give them away.
Put them on our car.
Put it on our car. That's the most important thing. I'll put it on my Prius.
Right.
Alf we saw Alf in overalls. Here's another look at that. That could be a cool action figure. Overall Alf.
Yeah, I was surprised Burger King didn't have the gardening with Alf.
You're right. And also, I always like to spotlight Brian's shirts whenever possible. And I really want to do a retrospective of season 1 shirts for the final episode. And I believe we have 8 more after this. So here's what the hell is on Brian's shirt here?
I'm going to say that is a watering can.
Yeah, it looks like yeah, that's not bad. I thought it was either
holster, a log.
And on the back, there's a purple thing. And again, it's the sweatshirt with the built-in collar to it. It's dirty because he's been out gardening. But I couldn't make it out. I zoomed in. I did the enhance thing, all computers, when you say enhance.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I could make out. So let us know if I thought maybe it was iced tea or lemonade on his shirt. A glass with like a lemon on the side. Or a pail at the beach or something.
Are you going to make a quilt of Brian's shirts?
Oh, that would be great. That would go in the Smithsonian next to Fonzie's jacket. A quilt of Brian's shirts.
Well, were you disappointed with the lack of jokes about, since this was a gardening episode, that they didn't make any jokes about hoes?
Yeah, because they did mention he had a hoe, but I don't think the popular term hoe in that way was 1987. It might be a little early for that.
Well, if this show had been on in the 90s, do you expect there to have been at least a 5-minute digression about Alf and his hose?
Yes, absolutely.
Or Willie and his hose?
Yeah, it'd be a who's on first. It'd be
right.
extended
Hose on
bit.
first.
But overall, the episode, yeah, it was a little tonally weird.
Overall.
Overalls, it was a
Yeah.
little weird. Yeah, like you said, it wasn't as offensive as it could be, but you just felt uncomfortable watching it. At least I did. So
The whole time, waiting for
yeah,
a festival of cringing.
yeah, I know. So it treaded a line, and so I believe Tom Patchett, the series co-creator, was the co-writer on this one. So they towed the line fairly well, I think. And I kind of want to see more from Willie's job. I kind of like the dynamic they set up there. But
That would be a whole series where only in the last episode does the Alf portion. Like you don't understand why Willie is so frazzled, and
it turns out he's mistreated at his job.
yes.
Yes. There was also a comment he makes to his blonde coworker, who's like a real crank, basically, always giving him a hard time, where he says something like, "Are you sure you're not late for your roller derby team?" or something like that. And I was just like, in the 80s, that was kind of like, oh, she's a real bruiser, but in any time after that, especially the 2000s, it would be like, that's cool. Like you're probably like have really cool sleeve tattoos and are a total badass and are really, I don't know. So
Well,
that had a different connotation.
Certainly when we do the modern stage version, a lot of these things are going to read differently, but we have to use the original scripts. That wouldn't be right to alter.
Yeah, I know it's going to be a long run on Broadway. We hope you'll be there for it.
I intend to be in the suit.
Let's get into Elf crap.
Ba-da-dum, da-dum, 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 Elf crap.
Oh, what Elf crap I have to show you. It was not only my birthday, but Valentine's Day. I got so much Elf crap sent in by viewers, not just the Elf crap that's over my shoulder here, but so much more. First of all, Valentine's Day was on Sunday, and my friend Laura makes these through Sultan's Press. She sent me a bunch of Elf Valentine's Day, hands drawn. If you love something, let it go. If it comes back, it's yours. If it gets hit by a car, you don't want it. With Elf from Sultan's Press. And there's a bunch more she's got. She's got a Small Wonder one, too. So
wow.
Next Valentine's Day, or really for any occasion, you can pick those up at Sultan's Press. Love that. What do you have for Elf crap?
Well, I think I remember these Alf trash cans. I don't think we've shown these before, have we?
No, I have a one here that has Alf bowling that I have in my house that I showed once, but I haven't seen this one.
Or how about this one?
No. Wow.
So we know now there are at least 3.
Yes.
And there should be a larger Alf trash can to put these in.
There should. Is there?
Not yet.
Okay. Well, the one I have actually has a lid on it and with a cushion on it, so it could, in a kid's room, they could sit on it and then use it as a trash can. But
what have you got?
The trash can is it's not doing great. The pillow is kind of frayed at the ends. Well, I don't know how much to show here. I've got so much stuff sent in. Okay. First of all, Lucia sent in a bunch of Bula baseball. These are Alf cards from 1987. So they're all references, I believe. Oh, this one on the front I thought was appropriate for the No Problemo episode. Siamese and Mayo. Oh, I thought you said Cinco de Mayo. So he wants to eat a cat, I guess, is the joke there. Yeah,
timeless.
They're all timeless. So yeah, these are cards that I don't have from these series. I have like another series of Alf cards, but they're all scenes from episodes that we've seen so far. And so thank you, Lucia. Let me show off another one. This one came from Clinton. He sent me an Alf tablecloth, and I have one Alf tablecloth, but I sure as hell don't have this one. So my next birthday party that I can have in person, I will have this, or maybe just when dinner guests come over, I'll put my fine china on this.
Now, so you have 2 now? Then
I do have Alf table.
Okay, are you going to get a second? Are you going to get a second table? I guess
I'm going to have to. I'm going to have to. Yeah. What else do I have? This was my girlfriend got me this one. This is
She's a keeper.
Yeah, this is an Alf trucker hat that is in great shape, and it says Alf for President. So 2024, I'll be wearing this.
How many electoral votes did he get in '88?
Alf gets 4.
Okay.
Yeah. So Oh, how many did he get total? Yeah.
Yeah.
He only got 4, but
So he beat Dukakis, right?
he did. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
What else do I want to show you? Oh yeah, let me show you these shirts that arrived. This one came from, I got 2 shirts that arrived in the mail, and both of them are ones I had not seen. Whitney sent this one, which I believe this looks very homemade. On Melmac, we bowl for cats. This is a vintage t-shirt that is not officially licensed by Alien Productions, but soft cotton. It's my size. It can't wait to wear that. Thank you, Whitney.
It's contraband.
It is. And this one, I don't think, no, this is not licensed either. This comes from Karen. Karen T sent Catabunga.
Mm.
Catabunga.
That looks very much like something I would have seen at the New Jersey Shore.
Absolutely.
In '88.
Yeah. Bart Simpson era. He's even got the red shirt.
Yeah.
Got a slice of pizza, and he's about to eat this helpless cat. So, Catabunga.
He really paved the way for the merchandising explosion of The Simpsons.
It really did. It was 2 years before The Simpsons came out, or well, 3, I guess. '86 was the debut of Alf, and then the Christmas special was '89 for Simpsons. So yeah, it did. I mean, this was like the beginning of like that age group. Let's get something on every T-shirt, every piece of merchandise we can find. And what did you find?
Well, here are some things I found on like Deviant Art. It's sort of mashups between Alf and either Alien. So here's one with a cat type alien from the movie Alien.
That's good.
And that's available as a T-shirt.
Not bad.
So I don't know. It's a little gory for your, I think if you were like a nihilistic 17-year-old, I could see you wearing this.
Yeah, I was a nihilistic 17-year-old, but not anymore.
Oh, okay. And let's see.
Oh, that's good. So he's coming out of the spacesuit.
Yes. And then there are also Alf and Predator mashups.
That looks like a real puppet, doesn't it?
Yeah, or maybe this is just an actual photograph of the two different alien species
or
facing
a 3D
each other.
render. Yeah, that's pretty good.
And then, of course, the Alf versus Predator.
Alien versus Alf.
Oh yeah, Alf versus Predator and Alien versus Alf.
Yeah.
Whoever wins, the Achmonics lose.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
I like it. I have 2 more gifts to show off. This one I opened this on VCR Party, but I'm still blown away by this actual animation cell from Alf the Animated Series, gifted to me by George. And this is a production cell too, which I don't know much about it, but it has the cell that comes in front of it and the background painting.
Yeah, so I'm not sure whether that's the actual background for that scene, or because a lot of times from what I've read, first of all, I can tell you that it is extraordinarily inexpensive, and you may have investigated this.
I haven't, but
to acquire these,
But look, you can see the paint on the bottom here. It looks like either that or it's a copy, but either way, it's pretty great. I'm gonna get this framed, but yeah, I love this. It's really cool. I've always wanted to own an animation cell, and also I think maybe we'll just do a summary of like Alf the Animated Series at some point, maybe between seasons of Alf, because when this season's done, we're gonna take off the summer, come back in the fall when Alf premiered, as long as George hasn't fled the country by then. But
I'm going to have to go to Mexico, I think, to fulfill Louise's. Yeah.
I'll put you on the bus.
Yes.
So that's the other thing, and then this is an item that I've shown on Willie's Garage before, and I don't know if my girlfriend watched it or just somehow looked at my Etsy favorites, but I've got it in person now. It is what's known as the Willie warmer. So, and this is, first of all, it's very large. It
really makes
got a lot of room to grow.
Well, no, I mean, like there are a lot of assumptions about your scrotum.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look at the this is the I won't say generous compartment where the scrotum would go, and then you have this part here. But it kind of makes a fun little puppet, and nobody has to know it's called a Willie warmer, and that the photo on Etsy has a guy's pubes in it. So,
you think it was that particular one?
Oh God, I didn't even think about that. All right.
And
Well,
have you worn it? I guess.
of course. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, it's cold. It's February, so of course, yeah.
Wow. Well. Thank you to your girlfriend
Yeah.
for really thinking about. I don't know. I'm at this moment. I'm glad you're co-hosting the show with me and not Joe, because there would be a 45-minute series of questioning
Oh yeah.
about it that I'm
I
not
know.
prepared to go down.
Okay, thank you, George. I
Go
appreciate
down
it.
a road I'm not prepared to go down. Yeah.
Didn't ask Joe to be on the show for a reason.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have any elf tattoos this week?
Yes.
If you've got a case of the Wednesday blues, just check out these elf tattoos. Yeah.
So here is I don't know. I don't really know exactly what's going on here, but I find it pretty interesting.
And it says Willie Forever on it.
Yeah, that's the main draw of this. But it is. I don't know what style it's going for. It's not the animated series Alf.
He has kind of spiky teeth instead of rounded ones.
Yeah. It has. I'm not sure what that is supposed to be wrapped around him. Is that supposed to be like a bent spaceship?
I think it's a Hawaiian shirt, and it has a pink collar, but it's blue.
Oh, okay. I guess.
Or maybe not. I don't know. Maybe
Yeah,
that's Melmac?
Could be.
Could be, because it does have that cloud that looks like your background. Look, George.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
I think we might have cracked the code here. But I always thought Willie was Willie.
Yeah, this is a terrible error on the part of the tattooist.
Yeah,
Is that the term?
the tattoo artist. Yes.
Okay, artiste.
But it is cool. It's got the space, the stars in the background, and the planets, and the shading's good. So, not too bad. Not too bad.
Do you think that was one that was had a lot of forethought that went into it, or do you think it was? Is that the one where? What percentage of tattoos involve people being inebriated when they make the decision to acquire it? Would you?
I don't think much anymore. I think like a tattoo like that's custom. That's not just like, usually the drunken ones would be like, I want that. You know, you point at it and it's like a dolphin on your ankle. But I think with this, it's like you would have to go in and tell the artist, what I want is like a retro Alf made with 3D glasses in space with stars, and then they mock up the drawing, you approve it, then they, once you approve it and what the colors will be, you go in. That probably took a couple sessions based on the coloring. Maybe it was one long one, but yeah, so that had some forethought to it.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, that was a good tattoo, and thanks to Joe Blevins for that theme song again. Next week, well, the Elf episode that is next in show order is another historic. It's a classic, so I'm looking forward to that. But next week, February 23rd, the show is preempted, and Joe, George, you pointed out why. I'm sorry, I was thinking about Joe hosting the show, and I was having nightmares. Yeah, so this is what it was preempted for?
Yes, there were a series of Bob Hope comedy specials that I guess, I don't know. I remember the disappointment of turning on the TV and seeing him. I got to tell you, boy, and then going into like a series of jokes that, about I don't know, Dorothy Lamour or something that just were barely intelligible to me.
I mean, Elf was a hit show. Why has it been preempted so much? Was it to give the show a break because they were having to crank out so many?
Was it a hit from the go? Because I remember early on seeing an article that made it sound like it didn't really. I don't know. The article made it sound like it was the second year where it really started to be popular. But only Paul Fusco, when he visits this show, as he must, he can tell us.
Well, of course, that's the stated goal of this show, is to get Paul Fusco and or Alf on this show, and when that happens, we can rest easy. But until then, we must continue on. Next week, we will be preempted also by Bob Hope Goes to Tahiti, which we're going to air on our YouTube channel. Should we actually do that? That would be funny. Maybe we will. Tune in next Wednesday. But the week after that, we're covering an Alf episode called Wild Thing. And you might not know this, but Melmacians every 75 years on March 2nd go through a metamorphosis where they become unhinged both physiologically and psychologically and need to be locked in a room. So as Alf is going through this transformation, he asks the Tanners to lock them into a room, And it's a memorable one. This is one I remember from my childhood, so I'm looking forward to that. Anything going out?
Well, I think if Google Translate is any indication, we should be closing the show by saying "Morder el viento."
Is that bite wind in Spanish?
Apparently, I don't speak Spanish.
Okay, well, correct us if we're wrong, but
Morder el
viento.
viento.
Hasta la vista.
Crashing with his garage.